One of our greatest assets we feel is our chemistry, and sort of as we were building the team, and I talked with Ian a bunch. We were sort of trying to find people who would fit into this mindset of sailing well as being an incredibly good sailor. And this goes for on the water, off the water, and just sort of how you work in a group. So we feel like that's one of our biggest assets. And we have done a bunch of sailing together already, so we're sort of a leg up on the other teams. I think at the selection series, we were the only team who'd sailed together more than a couple days on the water, and that was definitely a huge asset for us. And we're also, because we've gotten together so early, we're able to learn from each other, and we all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and we can push ourselves to the next level, hopefully. So what have we learned so far? Hard work and organization are key. We've spent a lot of time organizing the different aspects of an America's Cup campaign. And just because this is the Youth America's Cup doesn't mean there aren't all of the aspects that go into a full-blown America's Cup campaign. And I will talk about those a little bit later.
Dave?
Yeah.
On the communications amongst yourselves, I mean, that's a big problem. You really can't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Have you used those, I mean, you could probably do it with some kind of electronic thing if it doesn't get wet.
I'm sure that I think they have those on the 72s, but we're not planning on anything like that. It's sort of just you need to, the words that you do say, you need to say very loud and keep them to a minimum. So you need to sort of have like a code of how to say things, so you're not needing to speak full sentences and have everyone understand it. You might need to relay it once from the bow to the stern of the boat. Let's see. So one of our focuses so far has been just getting on as many high-performance boats as possible. The Aussie 18s are really great for that, but we've also had access to some A-class catamarans, which are one-person catamarans that are 20 feet long, and they're sort of made out of the same materials. It's an open box rule, so there's a lot of development going into it, and it's just as high speed, but you don't have all of the other added aspects of communication and size and loaded lines that can rip your hand off if you're not careful. There's lost some of my pictures. Well, so Aussie 18s, you saw a picture of one earlier. It requires the same high-level intensity and strength that the AC-45s take. It's definitely easier because you're three of you right next to each other, so you can actually speak to each other. But things happen so fast sometimes that you can't speak, and you all just have to be able to react. And being able to get that reaction as a group together is really important to move up into bigger boats. The Skiff Sailing Foundation that's based out of Richmond has been great in providing us the ACATs as well as the Aussie 18s whenever we need to take them out. And there's supposed to be a great photo of a pitch pole right there. I might be able to find that later. But as I mentioned earlier, we did the Nespresso International 18-foot skiff regatta right off the city front in San Francisco at the end of last fall. And that was a great opportunity for the team to work together and also sort of publicize ourselves. That was the first team event that we did. And I had to come back to school, so I could only do the first day of it. So that was a bummer for me. So the U.S. Selection Series happened last November, as I said. There were 6 U.S. teams that were a part of it. Once again, unfortunately, I couldn't be there at a test that I could not reschedule. But going into it, we knew there were going to be 2 American teams selected. And we were hoping to be the San Francisco Bay team, which gave us a leg up because there's only one other team that was from the Bay as well. The way it was structured, it was sort of broken up into groups of 2. They had 2 boats sailing at once. So there was the first day was sort of safety briefings and fitness tests with all of at Oracle's gym on their base. So then on the second day, they did 2 boats sailing at a time, and they just sort of went through all the paces from, just sailing straight line. You got some time to get used to the boats, and then working up to doing maneuvers and doing some close quarters boat handling with the other boat. And talking to some of my teammates, it was pretty nerve-wracking for them not knowing. You didn't get to watch the other boats while they were sailing, so you didn't know their strengths and weaknesses and how you were comparing to the other teams. So why were we chosen? After talking to some of the Oracle guys, it was they weren't just looking for like how well you handled the boat. There was the strength and conditioning aspect, how well you worked as a team, your organization like off the water, and how well you could actually fundraise the money that you need to fundraise, and also just what your practice schedule looked like, and how, like, if people were spread out across the country, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get together. So the 2 teams that are selected, as I mentioned earlier, were USA Racing 45 and the American Youth Sailing Force, which is us. The things we need to we're going to work together in March, mid-March. We get 3 days a month that Oracle is providing boats for us to sail. So we're both going to be there, and we're going to be able to work together on boat speed, boat handling tactics, and strategy. And that we really feel like that's going to help us to be able to sail the 45s against another boat, which none of the international teams are going to be able to do, presumably. Because even if Australia and New Zealand, say, team up together, it's going to be hard for them to get access to 2 boats at the same time. And we're hoping that we can ensure an American team wins by doing this. So our training schedule. So we sort of started. When we got picked, we learned we got selected in mid-December. So then we sort of start our training regiment March 1st. And at the beginning, it was pretty relaxed. We weren't all together. There's been 3 people, Ian, Mikey, and Evan, who've been living and working in San Francisco out of our office. And they've been going over to Oracle and starting to build those connections. And now we weren't allowed to sail the 45s until after March 1st, and now in March, April, and May, we're going to be getting the boats for 3 days a month. So let's see. So now that we are here, a couple more people are going to be moving to the Bay, focusing and working full-time. And the team's going to be fully functional. We're finally getting our office fully decorated in the hopes to be able to host sponsors there and have a nice conference room. We're going to be, let's see, we're still going to be sailing 18-foot skiffs, hopefully some F-18s, A-class, and then the SL-33, as I mentioned earlier. The owner of that has been very generous on loaning it out, and we're going to be hoping to get 15 days a month on the water sailing together with some debriefs and some coaching and debriefs before and after sailing. And then after our practice next month, we're going to decide on crew positions. We haven't, we have some general ideas, but we haven't sailed together as a full team. Michael got added, or Mike Manager got added to our team after the selection series, so none of us have sailed with him yet. And then so after May, let's see. May through July, once I get out of school, and everyone, I'll be the last person back there, and we'll all be working and sailing together. We're going to be trying to get 20 days a month on the water. We're going to be focusing on the positions that we've selected for ourselves, and just starting to build that teamwork up on the AC-45s and big catamarans, and hopefully a lot of that will transfer from the other boats we've been sailing, but it's we'll need to see how much of it actually transfers. We're going to have access to Oracle's gym, so we'll be able to go work out every morning, which will be huge, so we don't have to find a gym membership. And then July 15th, we're supposed to get our own AC-45 provided by Oracle with all of our branding on it. And this is when we're actually going to be able to learn to sail, learn all the little nuances of the boat itself. We're going to have a coach all the time we're on the water, and this is going to be the time that sort of makes or breaks it. It's all of the little details of the boat we're going to need to be able to learn in a month and a half, and it's taken the professionals sort of a full year to learn that. So we're not going to get all of them, but we'll get as many as we can. And then the regatta itself is September 1st through the 4th. There's going to be 7 teams, 5 international teams, as I said before. It's going to be short course racing. The World Series event that happened in San Francisco, was right off the city front. I'm sure a fair number of you watched it on TV. And we're going to have the same race course that they do in the same location. And this is actually going to be in between the Louis Vuitton Cup and the America's Cup itself. It's sort of an intermission between them. So all of the tents and grandstands will be set up on the city front. So it should be quite a spectacle.